Greetings, world. It's another day, it's another week, it's another opportunity to connect. What am I thinking about today? Today I'm thinking about scars. I remember saying to somebody, I don't trust people without scars. And he looked quite surprised and he said, "What do you mean?" And I said, just that. I don't trust people without scars. You know, that's why in 2010, 11, 12, 13, and then a repeat in 15, I actually staged a photo exhibition called Signatures, because I really do believe that our scars are our signatures. So let me tell you what I mean. You know, a physical scar that you have on your person. I actually do think that the process of healing a physical scar is no different from a process of healing an emotional scar. Because just like with an emotional scar, if you just rush to cover it with Band-Aid and betadine and all these other antiseptic creams, what tends to happen is the wound then festers, right? And it truly never heals. Whereas if it's a scrape, you wash it and you leave it exposed to the elements, air, sun. In time, that's going to dry. A scab is going to develop. The scab will fall off and you'll have a scar. And guess what? Every time you look at it, you will remember where you were, but also it is a subtle reminder of just what you've overcome. So when I say our scars are our signatures, I mean just that. I mean, I was born with a scar on my right shoulder. It's called a Mongolian spot. And it looks like a bruise. And when I was younger, people would make me feel so self-conscious because they would rush to it and go, "Oh, what happened?" And I'd have to explain. But you could see that they were asking just to ridicule me, not because they were interested in the origin story of my scar. And as I got older, and I wore something that had a spaghetti strap, I'd be asked, "Oh, what happened?" And when I was being cheeky, I'd just say, "My husband bashes me." Because people tend to just gravitate to anything that's dark and ugly. But on a subconscious level, I was very aware that I had changed how I was dressing to cover it up because I didn't want to do the explaining. But when I eventually understood that I actually earned the scar making my way into the world. You know, I earned the scar breaking through membrane, piercing through passageways and making my way into this life, this universe, this magnanimous thing called living and breathing. And I thought, there's no shame in that. Why am I carrying this as though it is something I need to be ashamed of, something I need to hide? And that's where the idea for the Signatures exhibition came from. So in the same way that I am imagining and creating a parallel between the emotional wound and the physical wound, I'm suggesting the following: that wherever we are wounded in our souls and in our spirits, that we may benefit from learning how we treat physical scars. If the physical scar has to be exposed to the elements, perhaps the emotional wound also has to be exposed. And those elements could be your journal, a therapist, a friend you trust, a walk, pulling out an easel and drawing something, or writing poetry, whatever it is. But I'm encouraging you to find an outlet, because it's those things that we don't expose to the elements that turn really, really dangerous and that create dis-ease in the body, which we often mispronounce as disease. But actually, that idea of dis-ease means the removal of ease. So whatever scar you carry on your person, when you look at it, I am hoping that whatever its origin, and sometimes those origins are painful, that I'm hoping in part you can also just use it to celebrate your own strength. Look at it as a reflection of what you have overcome. And whenever you feel cornered or bludgeoned by life and all these deep, dark, dense things that can come at us, may you always remember that you've already overcome some things thus far, and you have it in you to overcome what is yet to unfold. So if scars are our signatures, then we should wear them with pride. What was really delightful for me was after we hosted the exhibition, so we had it in 3 places in South Africa, at the end of which all the artwork was bought by people who were just resonating with the stories of the subjects who had volunteered to tell their stories. We captured a guy who had a scar that looked a little bit like Madiba's haircut, that had come from a fight over a woman, and in that conversation he was reflecting and actually started to understand just how limited and limiting his viewpoint was at that time. And he said the scar reminded him never to do anything stupid again. There was a lady who had survived an uncle who had attempted to abuse her when she was about 7, and she'd spent the first 4 years of school actually in hospital just trying to recover. Yet she's gone on to have a beautiful family. She has a husband who loves and adores her body, all of it. There was a gentleman who had survived an attempt by the not so nice people during South Africa's dark apartheid days. So he was caught in the 1976 student uprising and still carries a scar of a bullet that's lodged in his collarbone. Another had a scar of a bullet. Also, a robbery gone wrong, but which he thankfully survived. So each of these subjects were able to bring to me with complete trust their stories, and I did my best to treat them with respect. So it was really uplifting when they did say to me, "Thank you for telling our stories." We also had a gentleman who survived cancer, who still has a scar on his forearm, and he says he looks at that whenever he's in doubt or whenever he needs to dig deep. He looks at that and he remembers just the strength that he has within. So that's why I don't trust people without scars. Because if you haven't fallen and haven't risen, if you haven't been bruised and haven't had to dig deep, what has been the substance of your life? You look at magazine covers where they either try and Photoshop a scar out of your leg or put makeup on it. Like this pursuit of superficial perfection is the erasure of everything we have experienced and everything that makes us who we are. So no makeup over your scar. Wear it. Carry it with pride. Because that, my beloved, is evidence of how far you've come and how deep you can deep and how just wonderful and marvelous your inner resources are. So take a look, whatever scar you have, I hope you can reframe and reimagine and retell its story so it doesn't become a blight upon your flesh, but a celebration of the journey you have covered thus far. As always, I wish you courage to continue to look into the interior of this thing you call yourself, and clarity, so that as that wisdom surfaces, you have an understanding of which path to follow to get to your best self. Until next time, as always, namaste.